Good evening, everyone, and welcome to episode 8 of the Hate Live Beta Podcast, live streaming from lovely Connecticut. Here is your host, Darkside Phil. Alright, hello everyone. Welcome to Hate Live. I am so excited to be doing a podcast tonight. Let me tell you, because so much has been going on this week regarding gaming news, regarding future plans and things that I'm now forming around news that's come out. There's also, unfortunately, some bad news that I need to tell you about, but you need to be informed, especially if you're someone who loves gaming, who loves watching YouTube videos of gaming, watching live streams of gaming. There's a lot to talk about this week, so I'm going to be going on pretty, long on certain topics. What we're going to do is we're going to obviously do, like we always do, 3 segments of the show tonight, okay? So, first, before we get started, before I explain the segments and everything, I would like to ask, for any of you who are fans of Hate Live, if maybe you have an idea for an intro that I could be using for the podcast, similar to the intros that I have for my other vlog-style videos, like the Week in Preview and Ask the King and The Hateful Truth, because it's kind of bland and boring to just see, oh, Hate Live splash screen, you know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, I'm just here and I'm talking. It would be cool if maybe there was an intro. So if anyone has an idea, if anyone wants to put something together and send it to me, I would appreciate that. You could always tweet me at TheyCallMeDSP. You could shoot me an email at darksidephil@hotmail.com with your submissions. And hopefully maybe I'll grab something out of there that I really like. And obviously I'll give you credit if you are the person whose intro I select. If people are constantly sending me new intros, maybe I'll rotate through them. I don't know. But right now I just don't like the bland beginning that I do. I think it would be cool if we actually had like a formal beginning to the show. So I'd like to see what you guys could put together, alright? So I'm just saying that before we get started. I thought that would be a cool thing to do. Alright, so 3 segments tonight. Alright, 3 segments. As always, the first segment is going to be gaming news, but also it's going to start with me talking about what I've been up to this week, what's coming up in the coming week, because this next week is a huge week, but it's also a weird one, and I'll explain why in this video. So that's going to be segment 1. It's going to be me recapping what I've been doing, what's coming up in the week, and gaming news. And the gaming news is absolutely huge this week. We got Microsoft. We got Grand Theft Auto Online. We've got the return of SOPA. Yeah, if you can fucking believe it. The return of that fucking law that they tried to make over 2 years ago that was going to turn live streaming and or recording and broadcasting of video game and copyrighted footage as a felony. Alright? Absolutely ridiculous. We're going to talk about why in this video. So if you weren't around 2.5 years ago following my stuff and you weren't aware about the whole SOPA PIPA incident, you can get up to speed on it today, because that's what we're going to be talking about, okay? Segment 2 is going to be back in the day. And boy, do I have a treat for you guys today. I know a lot of people, this back in the day is like exactly what they tune in for. We're going to be talking about Tales of Arcadia. That's right. We're going to return for only the second time that we're doing this. We're going to return to my days of playing Street Fighter competitively in arcades. This one is going to be a specific subject. I decided that I was going to focus more on the positive than on the negative. I said, let's do a nice positive episode that'll be nice and funny. We're going to talk about the East Coast Championships, a tournament that I frequented in Dunellen, New Jersey for many, many years. It was the biggest tournament for Street Fighter on the East Coast of the United States. And boy, was it a lot of fun, and the crazy stuff, the road trip stories, I got to tell you. It's going to be great. That's going to be the back in the day segment. I think you're going to absolutely love it, all right? And then the third segment, as always, is going to be Q&A with the stream chat. So right now, we've got over 650 people who are viciously submitting questions to the raffle in the stream. So if you are watching live on Twitch, feel free to submit your question to the raffle. However, I hope you're listening right now, all right? We've had unfortunately, some abusers who the past few streams, people who just spam their question 100 times because they know that it's basically gaming the system and gives them a chance to get their question answered. I'm going to tell you right now, alright? If we catch you spamming your question, you will be blocked and kicked out of the chat. And if I do pick your question, the mod's going to tell me that you did that, and we're just not going to answer it, alright? Because that's messed up. Only one version of a question can be submitted. That's it. No duplicates, okay? Now, if you have multiple different questions, yes, you can submit those, but don't be asking me the same question over and over in the stream chat, okay, everybody? All right, so we've got quite a lot of stuff to talk about, and I've got a lot to say this week. So let's just get started with it, all right? Let's get started with a recap of what I've been working on this week. And and move on from there about what's coming up, because this next week coming up is going to be pretty nuts. All right. So this week I worked on a lot of different stuff, a wide variety of stuff. Some of these things were things that were already in progress, and I just continued them. All right. Some of them was new content that I decided to play around with. The one thing that I do want to say is a lot of people have messaged me about Payday 2, and they said, Phil, and now keep in mind, they didn't message me about it until the night before it was coming out. So literally like late Monday night, people started messaging me and said, Phil, are you going to play Payday 2? It comes out on Tuesday. And I'm like, well, this is the first I've ever even heard of the game was coming out on Tuesday. Literally up to this point, nobody asked me to play the game. Now, last minute, all of a sudden, it seems everyone heard about the game and wants me to play it, all right? I had already planned out a week of content that I wanted to play, including the continuation of Tales of Exilia, the conclusion of Chrono Trigger, and the end of the Summer of Retro, which, by the way, is now officially over. And I do want to thank everyone who did tune in to the Summer of Retro over the course of the summer, despite the fact that they were more retro, older school games on the SNES. Those are all games on my gaming bucket list. I'm so happy that I was able to play them and share those experiences with you guys. So thank you very much for those who did participate in that. And then there was some new stuff that was going to be coming out this week. All right, we had DuckTales Remastered, which was a HD remake of the DuckTales SNES and Sega video game made in HD, alright? We also had a new character in Injustice, a DLC character called Zatanna, that was coming out. And then this past Saturday, I actually started a new co-op game with John Rambo called Dragon's Crown. And it's so funny because I absolutely knew when I heard what kind of game this was, that the kind of response to our playthrough was exactly what was going to happen. Because we did the same thing a month before with Dungeons & Dragons. Dungeons & Dragons had come out with an HD collection. This was a collection of 2 arcade games. They were basically games that Capcom made for video arcades. And they're side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Side-scrolling beat-em-ups are games that are great and fun to play, and not very fun to watch, okay? And so I started getting lots of requests. Phil, are you going to play Dragon's Crown? Phil, are you going to play Dragon's Crown? And I said, geez, I didn't think there would be this much interest for the game. I'm surprised because it's another side-scrolling beat-em-up. So I said, you know what? All right, I'll do it. I'll buy the game. We'll play it on Sunday for our co-op, and that'll be cool. And here's literally what happened. I'm not complaining because I actually expected this to happen, but this is literally what happened. We started the stream. There were over 1,000 people on the stream watching the game. About 30 minutes in, that dropped to about 800, okay? Over the course of the day as we were playing, it just dropped and dropped and dropped and fizzled out. And the reason I think is because this is what people realized. Wow, it's funny early on in the game. Wow, look at the girls. They have giant heaving tits, and John and Phil are making jokes about the sexual nature of the game and stuff. But once you see it for about a half hour, you're like, all right, I know what the entire game is, except for, oh no, maybe there's a few new bosses and enemy types at the end. Okay, whatever. So that's literally what happened. People watched the very beginning of the stream, said, all right, I'm bored now, and they left. The same thing happened on YouTube. I think I uploaded like 13 parts, I want to say. And for like the first 4 or 5, people are engrossed, they're engaged, and then when they realize the whole game is just the same thing over and over, that was it. They hightailed it out of there. So I actually have another like dozen videos from this game that I just haven't even uploaded yet because people are not asking for it. Even the videos that are out there, you know, the views aren't very hot. And again, don't take this as a complaint. I knew it was a side-scrolling beat-em-up when I was playing it, and I said, I don't think this is going to appeal to audiences. I've done many of these before, and people tell me that this isn't very interesting to watch. I don't know why people asked me to play the game, but they did, and that's why I got it. So, yeah, that's exactly what I expected to happen did happen with that game. So I do have more videos. I will upload them, okay? It's just I was trying to give more time for people to watch those that are already on there, on YouTube, and I don't know if anyone else is actually going to give it a shot or what. I don't know, okay? But there are more videos of that I will be uploading eventually, all right? So I did the Injustice DLC this week. Right now I'm in the middle of DuckTales HD, which let me tell you, I'm so conflicted about because the game is outstanding. The gameplay is spot on. They actually made improvements from the NES version of the game. There are a couple real weird nuances, like the controls were simplified, which is great. They actually took out a weird thing where you had to go to one stage to grab an item before you could pass another stage. They fixed that. They changed it around so that you can just beat the stage while you're playing it the first time. They actually added some new content to it that I liked. And then I'm conflicted. The music, oh my god, the music is amazing. And they even got the voice actors from the original DuckTales TV series to do all the voice acting, at least the ones that are still alive, because that was over 20 years ago, alright? But the game has a crippling game bug where randomly your system, as it's loading, will freeze up. Your PS3 will just lock. And when you turn it off and on again, the game didn't save your data. So last night, I played through an entire stage of Transylvania. It took me about 30 minutes to beat it. I beat it. I was like, yes, this is great. I love this gameplay. Console locks up. Now when I go back to play the game again, I have to completely replay the goddamn stage. It's bullshit. It's a horrendous game bug. How that ever passed QA is unacceptable. The fact that it's happened to me twice in 2 days, once per game session, is like, duh, obviously it must have happened during testing, and they just didn't feel like fixing it. So I'm torn about this game. I am going to eventually beat it this weekend, as we're going to talk about when I announce what I'm working on for this weekend. Okay. Also this week, and this is a big thing, if you didn't see it or you didn't hear about it, all right, I want to let you know. This week, I agreed to appear on a podcast called Gamer Talk Live. It is held by Kane Bringing the Pain, who over the years has been one of my biggest critics, and by a gentleman named Anthony. And Anthony was actually the person who contacted me on Twitter, and he says, listen, Phil, there's been a lot of negativity spewing about the internet about you recently, and we're not haters, we're critics, and we actually have some intelligent, informed questions that we want to ask you on our podcast, and would you be willing to come on and answer them? Keep in mind, it might be stuff that might make you uncomfortable, and I literally said, my response was, well, I saw you guys on the show 2 weeks ago, because they actually appeared on John Rambo's The Show podcast 2 weeks ago as a call-in guest. And I said, you guys presented yourselves intelligently, you guys presented yourselves effectively, you seem like legit guys, and I think I would like to actually come on your podcast. Absolutely. And so I did that this Tuesday night, all right? And for about an hour and a half, I was pretty much grilled with different questions regarding different things that I have done, things that I've said that were misconstrued, but, shame on me for getting into arguments and stuff on Twitter, which I shouldn't do, and I'll openly admit that was my fault. Basically, the podcast, these guys threw a lot of questions at me. In fact, there were some questions I would swear they were going to ask, and they didn't. So I was actually surprised. I thought they were going to be even, ask me even more personal stuff about stuff that's been going on, and they really didn't. To the fact where I even at the end of the podcast brought up the issue of how the Ariad Lord had made a vlog-style video about me in the past week, but it was a personal issue, and he realized that he shouldn't have done that, and we actually were perfectly cool, and we solved it outside of the YouTube public eye, all right? And I even tried to go above and beyond to answer anything that was like a concern, okay? And I'll be honest with you guys, the only stipulation I had is that there's one particular person on the internet who made a video, and because of it, because it was a hateful video about me, people thought it was funny and well done, and he's getting popularity off of it. And I don't think that that's right, that someone on the internet, all they're doing is basically trying to make fun of someone and basically talk down to someone and say, wow, you suck, and here's a hilarious way to make fun of you, and they get popularity off of it. I think people should earn their views from content. You create creative content that's fun and interesting, and then you get popular from it. Not that you make fun of other people's content, all right? I think that's negative. I used to do that with friend request ridicule. I used to make fun of people who sent me private messages on my Xbox, and I said, after a while, after doing several episodes of it, I sat back and I realized a little bit that I needed to mature up and say, that's not fair, that's not funny, that's actually malicious in content, that I would take an honest message from a fan or a viewer and I would make fun of them. That's malicious, that's mean, that's negative, that's nasty. That's not the kind of person that I am or that I want to be. There are people that apparently love doing that, but I made it a point that I didn't want to talk specifically about this one person because I felt they already had gotten enough popularity from me. By me inadvertently mentioning them in certain vlogs and on Twitter and such. And so I said, it's a closed discussion. I don't want to talk about that anymore because this guy does not deserve any more popularity. So they said, all right, that was the one thing I agreed to on the podcast, all right? So the podcast went extremely well, all right, in my opinion. I loved it. I was entertained. I was having fun with it, but I was also being very honest with my the audience there, whether they were my haters or they were my fans, and they just wanted a reasonable explanation to some of the stuff that had been going on. I publicly apologized for anyone who I may have insulted because this has been a tough year for me. All right, I'm not going to completely go into detail of everything I said. If you want, you can check out the podcast. It's on YouTube. It's called Gamer Talk Live. Special guest DSP. It's very easy to find. A lot of people are watching it, and of course, there's the mixed opinion. Anyone who is a reasonable adult, all right, or you don't have to be an adult, but a reasonable human who is mature enough to understand that most of the time when people make negative videos about someone, it's probably because they're trying to get something out of it, or else why would they have bothered with the video, right? They saw the podcast, they saw my responses, they absolutely loved it. and they said, great, great that DSP went out of his comfort zone to do this podcast. We're satisfied now, moving on. And that's kind of my attitude. I'm positive now. I've decided that for the rest of this year, there's so much content coming out this year, all right? There's so much, starting next week, which we're going to talk about. There's so many new games, 2 new consoles, crazy online modes for new games, which we're going to talk about in the gaming news today, that I'm going to be so full of gaming for the rest of the year. I'm going to focus on that. I'm going to focus on positive things. I'm not going to be going off on rants and tangents about people making videos about me anymore. In fact, I've made it a strict policy on the stream tonight, on every stream from now on. I am not going to discuss this nonsense anymore. If people want to make negative videos about me, they can do it. I don't care. I'm going to completely ignore it like I used to in the past, and that's really been my mistake, is that this year there was a combination of negative things that happened to me that I think really got to me, and it made me act in a more negative fashion overall when it came to these kind of things. I've had people doing negative shit to me for years. I had entire YouTube channels dedicated to calling me a cult leader and that I'm a fat pig and all kinds of stuff, and they had their time. I ignored them, and now they're covered in cobwebs. This is the same thing. It's just a group of people. Oh, it's the hot thing to gang up on DSP now, because if you do, he'll probably mention you in one of his videos, and you'll get thousands of views off of it because people will rush out to go watch your hate video on him. So the bottom line is this. I said this on Twitter last night. I'm going to summarize it here, and then it's going to be the end of this topic, okay? You have to understand something. Haters are going to hate no matter what. I specifically addressed every person who made a hate video about me, specifically explained what was going on in that situation, gave you the honest truth, and was honest, and even admitted that sometimes I am in fault, as I did on the podcast this week, all right? It would not be enough for the haters, because the haters are in it to get something out of it. So it'll never be enough for them. They will always hate me. They are always going to be making these videos, and it's only going to be a point where people stop paying attention to them that they'll stop doing it, all right? Right now, they're getting a lot of attention because people think it's the cool fad to make fun of DSP and to try to point out all his hypocrisy and all this nonsense. What you have to realize is this. People that make these kind of videos are looking to get something out of it, whether it's attention, views, money, something, okay? So they're going to take a small snippet of truth, twist it, and add a whole bunch of bullshit to it to make it sound like it's true, because you know this one small portion of it is true. You think this person's credible. The bottom line is, I've seen some of these videos. They're absolute ludicrous stuff. Like, they'll take one tiny thing. Oh, Phil yelled at one person on Twitter. Okay, that was true. Maybe I was in a hissy fit mood that day, or something happened that day, and I shouldn't have responded in that manner, and I did apologize for that kind of stuff on the podcast this week. And then they turn into, well, that means that he did this and this and this and this, and it means all this. Whatever. I'm done. I'm not going to mention it anymore. People can go nuts making their podcasts as much as they want. I'm not going to mention it, and it's going to die out. Okay? It's that simple. But I did make a new rule. I want to let everyone know, if you do watch my streams on Twitch TV, that no longer will it be allowed to have people coming in and say, oh, did you see this guy made a new hate video about Phil, and here it is, and this guy did this? No. That's not what the purpose of the stream chat is. The purpose of the stream chat is to discuss what's being shown. So if I'm playing a video game, you know what I mean? I'm playing Pikmin 3. If you come in here, that's off topic. And we're going to be lenient in the beginning, all right? We're not going to be dicks about it. I've talked to the moderators about this. And I say, give everyone a warning. If someone does it, because maybe they didn't realize that there was a rule change, I did list it publicly in the rules of the stream, okay? It's a rule change. I understand it's a change. A lot of people might not know about it right off the bat, but we're going to make it a policy from now on. The stream chat is about positive talk about what's going on on the stream. You know what I mean? Not unrelated negative nonsense that I don't want to know about. I even told my fans last night on Twitter, I tweeted, I said, please do not even notify me if someone makes another one of these. Don't bother sending the video to me. I could give two shits about it anymore, because it's gotten so out of hand to the point where it's just people doing it to be on this bandwagon and try to get views and popularity for themselves rather than having anything valid to say whatsoever. I defended myself on the podcast. Two of my biggest critics were the hosts of the podcast, were good enough with my answers to say, okay, even Steven, let's move on in a positive manner. And that's my attitude from now on. Done. It's a closed book. That's the end of the discussion. Moving on. Okay. So that's that. Okay, so moving on. All right, so that's pretty much what's been going on this week with me. All right. So now, let's talk about what to expect in the next few days, both on the stream and also on DSP Gaming and the King of Hate vlogs on my channel. So, tomorrow's first stream is going to be Tales of Exilia, okay? It's going to be a long one. People are telling me I'm nearing the end of the game. There's actually a chance I may beat Tales of Exilia tomorrow, okay? I'm going to be uploading more Tales of Exilia tomorrow, okay? So everyone knows if you've been watching it on YouTube and you're like, shit, where are the new videos? They're coming tomorrow, a big batch of them, okay? I actually forgot to mention that today on the earlier stream, I actually beat Pikmin 3. So those videos are literally uploading right now as I'm live streaming this podcast on YouTube. So that's the cool thing about my new internet. I can multitask. I'm not bogged down to only doing one thing at a time, okay? So those videos, the conclusion of Pikmin 3, will be live on DSP Gaming tonight, and boy was it epic. I'm not going to spoil for those of you who didn't see it on the stream. It's not your fault. It was epic. The final stage is extremely challenging. I did rage a couple times, but once I figured out what I was supposed to do, I was able to, take care of the daunting task. The final boss was awesome. I actually really liked the final boss. So definitely, if you didn't see it on stream, check it out on YouTube tonight, okay? After Tales of Exilia tomorrow, I'm not sure what I'm going to do for my second stream. I'll tell you right now, I'm very strongly leaning towards Fallout 3. And the reason that I'm saying that is, number one, I beat Demon's Souls last week, by the way, which I didn't mention in the podcast yet. I did beat Demon's Souls last week, and the conclusion of that playthrough is live on DSP Gaming. Thank you to anyone who, during the course of that playthrough, participated, had fun, gave me tips, and then the guys, obviously, who helped me out in the last episode, who I finally summoned some dudes to take on the last boss because I didn't feel like fighting them for 4 fucking hours. It was a lot of fun, okay? So Demon's Souls is done, and I already beat Dark Souls, so the whole Friday night Demons or Dark Souls fad is over for now. Until maybe next year with Dark Souls 2, we'll have to see. So I need to find something to fill in that stream. And being that I beat Pikmin, that means that I'm kind of freed up this Friday night. And I'm thinking Friday night Fallout 3 is the way to go. Because I haven't played Fallout 3 in several weeks. I'm kind of craving it again, which is good. I love it when I don't play it for a while and you start craving it again. People have been really enjoying it. Alright, so that's what I'm going to be doing. This Friday night. It's going to be Fallout 3, more than likely, unless something changes, but that's my rough plan right now, okay? In addition to that, on YouTube, I'll probably be uploading more videos. Like I said, Tales of Exilia, but maybe I'll upload, I don't know, more, the remaining Dragon's Crown videos. We may do that. That could be a good idea, okay? Or I think I still have some other videos left over from something that I need to upload, and it's not coming immediately to mind. There's going to be a lot of content on YouTube, don't worry, it's coming, okay? Saturday, John Rambo will be here. New episode of Smart Guys, our pro wrestling commentary show, and we're going to be live streaming our WWE 13 SummerSlam pay-per-view simulation. It's going to be, hours of content. We're going to simulate every match at the pay-per-view. We've got the custom music for the characters in the game now, really cool. Created characters for the guys that weren't in the stock game. We've been doing tweaks and stuff. We really like the way our past two, podcast / pay-per-view simulations, however you want to call them, how they went. We like them. And we hope that you'll tune in if you're a wrestling fan. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, hilarious shit happens during this. I'll tell you that right now. And it's worth a look. So definitely this Saturday, come check out our pay-per-view simulations, all right? Sunday is kind of up in the air because I do still need to beat DuckTales, but I don't think that's going to take me very long. I have to replay the Transylvania stage, which will take me like 20-25 minutes tops, and then there's the final stage, which will probably take me, again, another half hour or so, maybe a little longer if I fail, and I have to replay it, okay? So really, there's a short stream somewhere coming where I'm going to beat DuckTales. I just don't know when that's coming, all right? I thought about possibly doing more Tales of Exilia Sunday during the day, but I might beat it on Friday. So if I beat on Friday, obviously there's nothing to play there on Sunday in Tales of Exilia. So there's lots of ideas that I have kind of bouncing around in my head, and I think what I realized is that maybe it'll be cool to do fighting games, maybe to bring back fighting games for one stream on Sunday and do that all during the course of the day on Sunday. Maybe that's what I'll do. I haven't definitively decided what I'm going to be doing on Sunday, but it's going to be something fun on the first stream. And then I'm going to try to squeeze in the weekend preview. I don't know if I'm going to be able to because my parents are going to be coming over. We're going to be going out to dinner together. And then when I get back, I'm going to be watching, that's right, for the second month in a row, I'm going to be purchasing the WWE SummerSlam pay-per-view, and I'm going to be watching it here live. I think it starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as the pre-show, all right? And then I'm going to actually be here on the stream chat. So if you're watching SummerSlam on Sunday, jump onto my stream here on Twitch, Darkside Phil, and in the stream chat, I'll be chatting it up with the fans just like I did last month with Money in the Bank. We had an absolute blast doing it, chatting it up, making jokes about what was going on. It was so much fun. So if you're a fan of WWE, you're going to watch the pay-per-view, jump onto the stream chat, and we'll all be here talking it up like we did last time, okay? And then, excuse me. And then Monday is like my last day of reprise. And when I say that is, it's really the end of the summer. Monday is the end of the summer for games. And what I mean by that is, come Tuesday, I'm going to say that's the beginning of the hardcore gaming season. Because after Tuesday, week after week after week, there's going to be multiple releases, games everyone wants to see. The games, these are the games that have been hyped all year, people are waiting for, okay? So, next week. Here's the weird thing about next week. This is why I'm explaining it in this podcast. Next week, I basically have 4 days to get as far in 3 retail games as I can. The games are, in no particular order, Saints Row 4, Splinter Cell Blacklist. Oops, I flipped you off. Splinter Cell Blacklist, and the Bureau XCOM Declassified. All right? 3 games I've been looking for all year. 3 games, I'm so happy they're finally here. I cannot wait to start playing them, all right? But I only have 4 days to play them. Let me explain why. Come out Tuesday, you got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. 4 days. Saturday, John Rambo's going to be coming over, and we're going to be doing another episode of Smart Guys that week, and it's undetermined what our co-op is going to be that week, and let me explain why. People have basically expressed to me the opinion that they're bored with Dragon's Crown, and there's no reason to maybe even continue the playthrough at this point, because they're bored. They're not going to watch it, okay? So if that is the case, I'd like to play something people are going to be interested in. Now, so many people now, it was so weird because they did it last minute, but so many people contacted me and said, Phil, what about Payday 2? And I said, oh shit, I guess they want to see Payday 2. I didn't know that because no one had mentioned it up to then. There's a possibility that maybe I'll buy Payday 2 and John and I will do co-op of it that week, okay? So that's not this Saturday, it's the Saturday after, all right? But that depends on what people's feedback are. So I'm going to rely heavily on comments on this video, all right, to see if people have interest in Payday 2. Because it's 2 choices. Continue and probably beat Dragon's Crown, or play Payday 2 with John the next time that we do co-op in 2 weeks, all right? So it's completely up to you. I want to see what you guys have to say about it. Which would you rather see us do? So we'll see what happens with the feedback regarding that. Okay. Okay. So since John's coming over on Saturday, and guess what? That next week I'm going on vacation to Chicago. So starting that Sunday, no more streaming, no more content. All right. On Twitch at least. What I'm hoping to do is that over the course of next Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, to play the hell out of those 4 games to the point where I have some surplus footage that I can upload starting that Sunday through the week. Now, I know it's not going to be enough to cover the entire week on YouTube, but I want it to be the continuation of the playthroughs and hopefully keep you guys entertained while I'm in Chicago. And it's okay, because when I'm in Chicago, I'm going to be doing vlogs. I'm going to be doing travel vlogs of everything we do in Chicago, just like we did similarly with our Philadelphia and SGC trips these past few months. So that is coming. So don't worry. If you love that kind of vlog style stuff, that's still coming. So don't think that that's not going to happen. But fair enough that a lot of people are going to want to see gameplay as well. They're not going to want a whole week that's dead. And so I'm going to try to space out the videos over the course of the week so everyone has content that week when I'm in Chicago. So that being said, you're talking, again, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to play 3 full games. It's not going to happen. I know it's not, all right? So I'm probably going to try to at least beat one of them. Probably try to get through pretty far into another one. And another one, maybe I'll play a little bit, dabble in it here or there, but maybe not get too far, all right? Now, what does that mean? That essentially means that next week, I'm booked, okay? So I'm going to tell you right now, starting that Tuesday, you're going to see release day unboxing of these games, and then you're just going to see me constantly streaming those games all day, every day. All right? And you are not going to see any vlog video. So I'm telling you right now, no Hate Live next week. There's no space for it. There's absolutely no way I can do Hate Live next week. And there's also going to be no Friday night special. It's probably going to be just more of those 3 games, because I know I'm going to need the time. So no Hate Live next week. No special of like Fallout late night on Friday or anything, because I'm going to be engrossed playing those games. So I'm just getting that cleared up right up front so everyone understands it, okay? In 2 weeks' time from the next week, so that would be in 3 weeks' time from this week, I believe I've scheduled in the next Ask the King, okay? So, excuse me. So, that'll be the next, vlog-style video on a Thursday like this that I'm going to be doing, okay? Alright, so, I think we've pretty much sufficiently covered what the hell I've been up to, alright? And now what I want to do is I want to move on, and I want to talk about the 3 major gaming news stories this week and my opinions on them, okay? The first major news story is absolutely hilarious because it was completely misreported by almost every media outlet, alright? The news story was that Microsoft has announced that they're going back again on something else, that you can actually run the Microsoft Xbox One without the Kinect attached to it. It'll still work. You could still play your games. Obviously, anything that has connected functionality won't work, but you can still use the Xbox One without the Kinect. However, they're not going to be selling it without the Kinect initially anyway, so if you're going to buy an Xbox One, you're stuck with this Kinect whether you want it or not, but you don't have to use it. So for some people, they were like, hot damn, hallelujah, I hate the fucking Kinect. This is great news. I'm going to go tell everyone. And they ran off to the internet like this. And it was a real big thing. People were like, Phil needs to make a reactions vlog about it. We need him to make a reactions vlog immediately, and we need to know what he thinks about it, alright? It was crazy. People were going absolutely nuts. What people don't realize, okay, is that is actually not what the news story was. If you actually read the original article that all this news was coming from, it was some guy for some media outlet interviewing a Microsoft rep, alright, someone who's in the development team or whatever of the Xbox One, and he was directly asked a question by the reporter. He said, will the Xbox One function without the Kinect? And the specific situation he gave him as an example, he says, what if my Kinect accidentally falls off the TV and breaks? Are you telling me that even if I'm playing a game that doesn't use the Kinect, that I have to run out to the store and buy a replacement Kinect to keep playing the game? And he said, oh, well, in that situation, no. The Xbox One will function without the Kinect, but that's obviously not the way it was designed. That's not the way that we intend it to work. We want everyone to be using their hands to move through the menus, and a lot of games are going to have Kinect functionality that you won't be able to use if the Kinect isn't functional. But no, you don't have to run out and buy another Kinect. To which, oh my God, it's like, well, wait a minute. So basically, in an indirect manner, this guy who's part of the development team for the console is telling everyone that the console will work without the Kinect. But the thing that pisses me off is that all the reports were Microsoft 180. Microsoft has gone back again, and now the big news is that they're saying that it will work without the Kinect. Wait a minute. Now, wait a minute. There was no announcement by Microsoft. There wasn't something of them taking anything back. What this was a rare occurrence when a reporter asked the right question to the right person, and that person didn't give you the PR bullshit spiel that you've been hearing for the past several months from every Microsoft talking head, and he told you the truth. Here's what I feel. This is my take on the whole situation. I really feel that the Xbox One always was going to function without the Kinect. They know it. If the Kinect breaks, you don't need the fucking Kinect to play 99% of the games on the stupid console. But if you remember, the big sales pitch from Don Matrick months ago before he left Microsoft with his tail between his legs, alright, was that the whole gimmick of the console is the integration of the Kinect. Now you can move through menus with your hands. You can talk to your Xbox, tell it to turn off, to turn on, to turn off. You can tell it to go to cable, go to the movie, pause, fast forward, go to channel 39. This is what they want you to be experiencing with your Xbox One. They're saying this is the next generation, hands-free voice technology, and this is what they want. So this is where the marketing department and the PR people, those people who are trying to push a certain agenda, have been answering the questions from the press for the past several months. And they've been saying, oh no, you need the Kinect. They're lying, basically. Through their teeth, they're lying to you and telling you you need to use the Kinect because they want you to think that, number one, you need to buy the Kinect with this thing, which obviously you don't. All right, and number two, they obviously have an agenda. There's probably down the line a bunch of things coming out with the Kinect where they're going to charge you for it. Oh, there'll be all these crazy, app-style games on the Xbox that you need the Kinect for, and we need, they're trying to push their nonsense into your throats. All right, because they think the Kinect is the best thing since sliced bread, while 95% of people who bought a Kinect hate it because the thing doesn't fucking work because it needs insane amounts of room to actually work. Okay. So, really, this is a whole non-news story. To me, this is someone finally just telling the truth, when for the past several months people have been lying to us. So the news is the Xbox One will work without the Kinect. However, you're forced to buy the piece of shit anyway, because Microsoft wants to sell you a junk peripheral that you're never going to fucking use, because you don't care about waving your fucking arms around like an asshole and say, Xbox on, Xbox off, Xbox on, Xbox off, I'm an asshole, I'm too lazy to pick up a fucking controller and push a button. It's the dumbest fucking thing. And I'm tired of these idiot talking heads thinking that they know better than what the whole entire majority of gamers have been saying. Fuck the piece of shit Kinect. I hate it. I hate that they think they know better and they're going to force us to buy it. That's the thing. So now, the big thing is, well, is this now kind of the seed of truth that probably eventually down the line Microsoft will be selling the Xbox One without the Kinect? And the bottom line is, yeah, I almost guarantee you that in a year's time they're going to repackage everything and they'll probably have a lower end model of the Xbox One that's less expensive. It matches the price of the PS4, whatever that may be at the time, and it won't have the piece of shit Kinect with it, and people will rush out and buy it then. But this first wave is just going to be the early adopters, the people who are either number one, Microsoft fanboys, or number two, the people who just need to get the newest technology in their hands as soon as possible, okay? And they're going to rush out, and guess what? In one way, Microsoft's plan has worked, because now at this point, we've accepted it's going to be $4.99. It comes with the Kinect. We've already pre-ordered our consoles, and we're just going to pay it and say, all right, so we're all going to have a Kinect sitting in our living room that no one's going to fucking use. I'll tell you right now, I'm not using it. I don't want to give voice commands. I want to use a controller. Fuck that stupid shit. All right? Okay, so that was the first news story this week. The second news story this week. Grand Theft Auto 5 Online has been revealed as of this morning. It's about a 3-minute long trailer where they basically show you exactly what to expect from Grand Theft Auto 5 Online. The first big announcement is that it is not part of Grand Theft Auto 5, the game. Like, if you remember when you played Grand Theft Auto 4, it had online play, but basically it was kind of like playing the same game, only with maybe multiple people racing, doing cops and robbers style missions. This is different. This is going to be an openly evolving world that Rockstar is saying they have the ability to add to and change at any time, and they probably will be in the future, alright? It's going to be similar game modes to the previous Grand Theft Auto 4 multiplayer, so if you want to play established scenarios like cops and robbers, you can. But the game also has a level editor, and it has the ability to create your own game modes. So you can literally create whatever the hell you want. Like, how crazy is that? That is, like, amazing for a sandbox game like that. They're going to let you make your own fucking game modes. This is going to be, like, the new thing, the hot new thing. You buy Grand Theft Auto 5 and you fuck around with the multiplayer for hours on end because there's just so much to do there. But they also announced that the multiplayer is going to have its own story with its own story-based characters, NPCs basically, who you're going to talk to. You're going to level up with prestige and rankings or whatever they were calling it. There's some kind of a experience level that you're going to, I think it was notoriety or something like that. Or you're going to keep going up and up in the ranks, and the higher ranks you get, the cooler stuff you get. You might get better weapons, better cars, more money so you can buy the better stuff. You can rent out garages to fill with your cars. You can rent an apartment where you and all your friends can hang out in this virtual world. So it's literally a combination of a racing game, an open world sandbox game, a simulation game similar like PS Home, and a level creator. It's basically 4 fucking things in one. And I was just, as soon as I saw this trailer, my mind just immediately exploded with cool ideas. Why don't we have a match where we could simulate real big-time federal crimes? Like, there's a jet coming in, and maybe the president's on the jet. So the jet's coming in, and it's the goal of this one group, eight people on one side of the terrorists, and they're going to try to hijack the jet. So you give them limited resources. You can have one chopper, you can have certain cars, certain amount of weapons, etc. On the other side, you guys could play the good guy. So your job, you're a bunch of vigilantes who got the heads up that these terrorists are coming. You got to stop them. And you're given limited loadouts and stuff. Just think that the plane comes in, one side comes in with the chopper guy shooting out the side. All of a sudden, the good guys show up, they're shooting bazookas and RPGs and shit, and people are doing hand-to-hand combat. They're taking out combat melee weapons, fighting each other. Things are exploding left and right. The world is fucking nuclear apocalypse. I mean, what the hell? This game mode is cool as fuck. And immediately again, other things. I think about Suicide Kings, which I've already announced. I'm bringing back Suicide Kings, all right, this year. So imagine getting 16 people, and we all get choppers, and we're fucking flying the choppers into each other, and we're skydiving, because there's skydiving in this game with parachutes, and we're jumping off the top of skyscrapers, and we're flying jumbo jets into fucking, you know, Quickie Marts. I mean, so much stuff's going to happen. It's going to be so much goddamn fun. I just know it is. But, there's a but. There's two negatives to the whole thing. Although one of them you might not even see as a negative. The first one is, it's 16 players in a match at any time. Only 16. If I remember correctly, that's exactly what it was in Red Dead Redemption as well. So real no advancement there in getting more than 16 people in a match at once. Not to say that 16 isn't a hell of a lot. I mean, that's a lot. 16 people in one match, that's crazy. And just 16 cars all fucking zooming around doing wheelies, shooting each other is insane. Alright? It's going to be a hell of a lot of fun. But the other thing is that it doesn't come out until October 1st. Alright, let me say that again. Grand Theft Auto 4 itself is going to come out 2 full weeks. Grand Theft Auto 4? Grand Theft Auto 5 itself is going to come out 2 full weeks before Grand Theft Auto 5 Online is available. And what they're saying is what they're going to do is they're going to have like a testing period where certain people are going to be testing the game during that 2-week period, and then they're going to open the floodgates come October 1st. That could be seen as a negative. And the reason I think that's a big negative, in my opinion, when I buy a game, I gave you $60. I gave you the retail price, the full price. I didn't give you $30, and then I give you another $30 when I can actually play online. I gave you the $60 investment up front. So when I pay $60, I want a fully functional game in my hand. What you're basically telling me is that half the game isn't ready yet, and half the game needs to be tested for 2 weeks. That's not acceptable as a consumer, and for me, my own personal beliefs, that's not acceptable. And I don't like the fact that I have to wait 2 weeks in particular, because I have a full week there where the only game coming out is GTA 5, and I know I'm going to beat the story of the game within a week. So there's going to be a few days there where I'm not going to know what to do because I don't have online play with the game. So now I'm going to have to try to figure out, gee, I got to balance GTA 5 with something else so that it's not boring and downtime, and that's frustrating to me. But the good news is that on October 1st, that week, that first week of October, there are no releases. So what a coincidence that the first week of October there's no new releases and GTA 5 Online is coming out. I mean, everyone's going to be playing it. Like, that's going to be so insane. The week of GTA 5 Online hilarity. And I'm going to tell everyone right now on the podcast, whether you're on Twitch or you're on YouTube, the great news is that I am literally right now brainstorming in my head ideas of different things that I want to do. This is going to be a huge opportunity for fan interaction. I am going to get you guys involved in all this gameplay. There will be entire days where we just set up different things in GTA 5 Online and we stream it all day, and then I cherry pick the best stuff and I upload that to DSP Gaming. How fucking cool is that? You know what I mean? I am so excited. We're going to have sets of matches so we can actually do full playthroughs. Then I could do montages. So, you know, when we did Suicide Kings, that really encompassed a full day or two of us just dicking around in Red Dead Redemption. I could live stream all of that and record a lot of it, but then I could actually take it and put it into a montage video similar to what the Silly Suicide Kings used to be, and those could be a separate series where if you don't want to watch the raw footage, you can watch the cool abridged one. And I even went so far, I know I'm getting way ahead of myself because I haven't talked to John Rambo about this yet, but how cool would it be if John Rambo composed the new theme for Suicide Kings? He's a great songwriter. He's a great guitarist. I think that he could make a fucking badass theme for Suicide Kings in GTA 5. Now, I haven't talked to him about that yet. That's just an idea that I had the other night. In the middle of the night, this is what happens. I get these crazy ideas in the middle of the night. I'm going to talk to him about it this weekend and see what he thinks. Because the thing is, I already know he's going to be so inundated working on Schnozman a whole punch. The last thing I want to do is fuck up his schedule because I gave him another piece of work to do. But I think it's an amazing idea. Maybe we can collaborate and think of lyrics and stuff and a tune that we can play. Because that's the goal. I want to make Suicide Kings. But if you remember, Suicide Kings was on Red Dead DSP, my other channel that used to be for Rockstar content that wasn't partnered. So I was using copyrighted music in those videos. So maybe we can make our own music for it. That's what I'm thinking. Not promising. I'm just brainstorming. I really like the idea, but I don't want to put any more work on his plate if he can't handle it. So I'm going to toss it in his way. Let's see what he says when I talk to him about it this Saturday, okay? All right. And now, and by the way, I am getting it on the Xbox 360. I know a lot of people are wondering. Yes, I told you. Cross-platform games, I get on the Xbox 360. In particular, this one, if I'm trying to invite viewers and fans into these cool multiplayer events that I'm going to be doing, I need to do it on Xbox 360. It is far too fucking difficult to do that on PlayStation 3. I have to do it on Xbox 360. Okay? Alright. So, that being said, the final piece of news. The final piece of news this week. And a lot of people, unfortunately, they're not hearing about this. Okay? They're just not hearing about it. They don't know what's going on with it because, once again, just exactly what happened 2.5 years ago is happening again. So let me explain. All right. 2.5 years ago, in the federal government of the United States of America, our lawmakers started talking about the possibility of drafting a law. And this law was going to make it a felony for anyone who was found guilty of streaming copyrighted content on the internet. And they said the purpose of this law was really to protect Motion Picture Association of America and also these media companies that make television shows and TV and stuff that was being streamed for free over the internet. That you could go to a third-party website, you could watch the movie, free of charge. Things being uploaded to YouTube free of charge. They wanted to make it a felony because I guess these guys are lobbying, all right, and saying we're losing money because people are doing this, all right? Haven't ever seen any real concrete evidence of anything. So, okay. So they had 2 laws to this effect. One was called SOPA, one was called PIPA. So if you've heard those terms before, that's what they were. They were referring to these laws that were going to make it a felony. Now, on the surface, that doesn't sound bad. Sure, if I take the new episode of Breaking Bad that was just on TV and I DVR'd it, and now I live stream it over Twitch TV, I should go to jail. That should be a felon because that's blatant theft of a copyrighted work. And you're live streaming it on Twitch, or maybe you upload it to YouTube, you know what I mean, or another file sharing website. Yeah, I wholeheartedly believe that's illegal. All right. Now the problem was these laws were so broadly worded, there were no specific things addressed in them. So we're like, now wait a minute. If this law passes, any judge who knows nothing whatsoever about the internet, technology, gaming, the fact that with video games, that live streams and let's plays, that this is a huge part of gaming culture that actually most gaming developers support. They want you to live stream their game. They want you to do, video game playthroughs of it because that advertises their game for free. It shows off their game, all right? Of course, there are some who don't feel that way, but the majority so far have not sought out any damages for videos like this on YouTube or on Twitch TV. But this was this big concern that what if some dumbass judge in some court who knows nothing about real technology just says, yeah, whatever, it's broad enough, the law applies, so now everyone who's doing that is now a felon. Guess what? You can't be charged for something you've done before it became illegal. So anyone who live streams now or makes videos now would be safe, but they would literally have to stop. YouTube would have to say, we're shutting down the whole business because there's no effective way for us to look at all the info that comes into our website on a daily basis and make sure that it's not someone uploading something copyrighted. And now that you're making it a felony, that's a strong enough crime that we can't be daily creating thousands of felonies on our website. YouTube will go out of business. Twitch TV overnight will go out of business, okay, if this law passed. So, unfortunately, 2 years ago, we were all going nuts about this. I basically, I basically was up in arms. And I was one of the few people who actually heard about this when it was in its developmental phase, which is quite literally what's going on right now. But let me elaborate. So 2.5 years ago, it was developing, it was burning, it was starting to bubble. It was in its stage where they were trying to get this bill into a form written so that they could try to get it passed. I was alerted by Demand Progress. Demand Progress is a non-for-profit company that that basically takes up causes like this. They say we're the ones, we have to be the watchdogs, because when the U.S. government tries to do something out of what should have been out of its power, first of all, for them to try to censor the fucking internet when they know nothing about it is absolutely preposterous, okay? So Demand Progress got involved and eventually contacted me and said, gee, we see that you're talking about this. Can you spread the word about our petition and stuff? And basically, over the course of 2011, I made several videos updating everyone on the situation. Hundreds of thousands of views, by the way. So thank you to anyone who 2.5 years ago or 2 years ago participated in this and spread the word about it, because absolutely the word needed to get out. So eventually what ended up happening was in early 2012, they were trying to rush this through our governmental body and get it passed as a law, to which all of a sudden, no, that was it. So because we had started such a stir on the internet, all of a sudden it hit mainstream media. And mainstream media, like television, started covering this story and saying, wait a minute, we didn't know about this, but now we do, thanks to the internet. So thanks to the people on the internet who told us what is going on. They're going to censor the internet literally overnight if they pass this bill, and these businesses will go out of business. And all of a sudden, people heard this story on the news. They said, what? We don't want that. They immediately started writing their senators, calling them, saying, what are you doing? Are you out of your fucking mind? We don't want a censored internet. Who asked you to do this? Like, why did you think that you could sneak this under our nose? And there was so much opposition that literally came at the last minute that all the lawmakers who were involved completely flip-flopped and said, all right, under further, looking at this, we've decided we're not going to do it. It's a bad idea. Now, that was 2 years ago. Fast forward to now. Guess what just got discussed on the floor in our U.S. legislation yet again? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. I'll show you what got discussed, because I actually have it ready here for you. Get it up here. Can you see that fine? Here you go. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The Obama administration... Oh, you can't read the top. Here we go. The Obama administration has revived the SOPA proposal. They have decided in all of their wisdom that this idea that was such a horrible idea 2.5 years ago is a good idea again. It's quite literally the same. It's quite literally the same story. It's literally the same issue. All right? It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. These idiots are bringing it back. What it is, it's different now. Now it's a different subcommittee. Hold on, let me see if I can find the exact article where they mention it. There's some kind of a subcommittee that's working on this, where once again they want to make it a felony for people to say that they're live streaming or just streaming, which could mean uploading to YouTube, copyrighted content. But they're not doing their jobs. They're not hashing out what is considered copyrighted content and what isn't. They're not hashing it out fairly. Like, if you're going to make it a felony, you need to take the time and attention to detail to make sure that you're not fucking over entire businesses, that you understand the technology and the culture and what's going on. Our lawmakers are not doing that. What it is once again, here we are 2.5 years later, all right? The Motion Picture Association of America and all these companies behind making these television shows, again, said, well, we didn't get our way 2.5 years ago, but enough time has passed that maybe the American people are too lazy and stupid to realize if we try to do this again, that it's the same thing they didn't want 2.5 years ago. So they went to our U.S. senators and our U.S. lawmakers, and they said, psst, psst, hey, we want to get reelected next term, right? Well, we tried this 2.5 years ago, it didn't work. If you get this reintroduced for consideration again, we're going to support you. We're going to give you a nice large campaign contribution so that you can run and get reelected next term. This is how the United States government works. If you can believe it, that's absolutely right. Now, in any other... Hold on a second. In any other... Son of a bitch. I clicked the wrong thing. Here we go. So in any other part of any government, any figure, all right, that would be considered blatant bribery. That's what it would be considered. But in our U.S. government, it's a perfectly acceptable practice. You support my campaign, I'll push through your bullshit agendas that none of the citizens of America want, except for the people who hold stock in movie companies and television production companies. And I'm tired of it. I'm tired of our U.S. government working like this. And I usually don't talk about politics, but I'm tired of our system basically being a bunch of fucking whores. Because that's what our senators are. They're whores. They get paid money to do a dastardly service that everyone thinks is immoral. That's what they're doing yet again. They're being whores to the fucking Motion Picture Association and these television production companies, and I'm not going to fucking stand for it. So I'm going to tell you right now, it's still, right now, we're exactly where we were 2.5, 3 years ago. We're in the early stages. This has not even been drafted up as a bill yet. It's just a new idea that's now being talked about in our government again. I know that 2.5 years, 3 years ago, you guys did a great job of stirring up the information and getting it out there that this was happening, okay? And we collectively put our heads together. And by the way, I'm not just talking to fans of mine. I'm talking to anyone who's a fan of video game footage, playthroughs, let's plays, live streams of anything on the internet. That's how important this issue is. It's beyond the fact if you hate me and you hate my guts. You're going to have everything go away overnight if something like this passes. You need to tell your parents, you need to tell your friends, you need to tell your lawmakers. That's right, if you know who they are and you have the means to either write them or call them or email them, you need to do so. Right now I'm going to show you there is a petition from Demand Progress, okay? They have set up this petition. Let me see if I can do a screen region here for you. There it is. Hold on a second while I get it into position. Shit. Hold on. I'm almost there. There we go. Alright? Here's the petition. Let me get the rest of the screen out of the way. Right now, you can go to this website. You can see the address right here in the video. You can go, and if you're a United States citizen, alright, you can fill out this form, and you can get your voice heard. It'll go on this petition from Demand Progress. I want to get the word out there early, so that we can keep pushing for this, and we can do exactly the same thing we did last time. Tell our lawmakers to fuck off, stop being whores, and stop pretending like they understand anything about technology or culture, because they don't. They live in their goddamn ivory towers, their fucking $1 million homes. They think that they know what the fuck they're talking about, and I'm so tired of them trying to enforce their belief system on us, alright? Fuck them. We don't want censorship of the internet. We're done with this. We already dealt with it 2 years ago. We're not going to fucking go 2 years back in time to start dealing with this bullshit again because these people are taking more kickbacks from fucking lobbyists. So please, I beg you, you spread the word, please. Please. If you can, tell everyone about what's going on. Alright? Spread the word and get the word out so that we can basically get this stopped, alright? I'm going to be talking about it a lot. I'm going to be following this, very closely, and I have not done an individual video just about this subject, simply because I feel that it's something that it's in its early stages. Let's see, this could fizzle out and die. This is just the first time that they're talking about it in our government, alright? So it could fizzle out and die. Someone could literally walk up and say, we did this 2 years ago and it didn't work. Why the fuck are we doing it again? And they could all just throw it away. But we have to take a stand as early as possible so that we can get the word out that this is happening. Please spread the word. For the sake of anyone, we can beat this. We beat it last time. We sure as hell can beat it again. Please, everyone, you got to help out if you can, especially if you support this kind of content that people put out. This is a super important issue. You know I don't ask people to do this kind of stuff all the time. This is super important. I purposely waited 2 years to talk about something this important again because it is so important to everyone, alright? Okay. Very good. So, let me get rid of that now. There we go. So, that's it for now for gaming news. What I'm going to do is I'm going to stay on top of this situation. I'm going to be in contact with Demand Progress. I actually have their personal information so we can talk back and forth. And I'm going to let them know that I talked about it. Alright? I'm going to let them know that I gave a link, to their petition. And I'm going to ask them to keep me informed on the subject if it pushes through any further so that we can continue to make opposition. If it does actually start getting pushed further, I will make a special vlog video just like I did last time, an alert video. And I hope that you guys will spread the word about it because it's super important. Okay? All right, so that was segment one. It was long, but we had a lot to talk about. I'm now going to take a short break. My mouth is killing me. It's parched. I have no drink left. I have to get a drink. So we're going to take a short commercial break. We're going to come back with Back in the Day, the segment where I'm going to talk about Tales of Arcadia, East Coast Championships, lots of fun stuff, interesting stories. I wrote them all down to tell you, so definitely come back for that, all right? If you're watching this on YouTube, you could just use the timestamp in the description of the video to just jump right ahead to past the commercial break. If you're watching this on Twitch, please stick around. I'll be right back in a few short minutes for Back in the Day. So thanks a lot, everyone. I'll see you in a few minutes for Back in the Day. Okay, everybody, welcome back to Hate Live, episode 8, well, beta episode 8. And now for segment number 2, a little segment that I like to call Back in the Day, where I reminisce about my history. Oh my god, my disgusting belches, but also my history as a gamer, growing up as a gamer, and my unique experiences being that I was part of the competitive Street Fighter community during the arcade era. And today, what I've decided to focus on is what I'm going to be calling episode 2 of Tales of Arcadia. And today's in particular subject is going to focus on some of the funniest times, or the most fun and interesting times that I spent traveling to play video games, which was going to the East Coast Championships. Now, let me give you a little bit of history. For those of you who aren't aware, the East Coast Championships was a very long-running, including over 10 years going, tournament that was considered a major fighting game tournament. At first it was just Street Fighter, and then it branched out into other fighters. It was always held in Dunedin, New Jersey, except for the very last one, but people kind of had controversy about whether or not that was really East Coast Championships or not, because it was more of a qualifier for EVO than anything else. But anyway, regardless of that, it was always held in Dunedin, New Jersey, at a video arcade called 8 on the Break. And the infamous Chris Cotty, the owner of the arcade, once a year would basically kind of open his doors for gamers and would welcome gamers from all over the country, sometimes all over the world, into his arcade to play fighting games at a high competitive level, all right? Now, I had heard about ECC from some of my friends, my local buddies at my local arcade that I played at all the time, and they were like, wow, did you hear about ECC? It's great. People from all over go there. They play the games, and they have every Street Fighter game in here. They all compete, and you should really go. And I was like, I don't know. Is that really my cup of tea? Do I want to be traveling across the country? I lived in Connecticut. This was in New Jersey, it was a 3.5-hour drive. And I was like, is it really worth it? I don't know if I'm that serious. I mean, I loved fighting games at that point. Yes, I was one of the best players at my arcade, but I wasn't like, wow, into competition or anything like that. You know what I mean? I was more like, I like to come, talk shit, have fun on a Friday, Saturday night, beat everyone's ass, and then go home, and that's it. That's where I leave it. But these guys were going above and beyond. No, Phil, we got to practice every night, not even just weekends, but weekdays. We got to be here to practice. We got to get a car. We got to travel out. And for a long time, I didn't do it. For a very long time, I didn't do it. And then eventually, at my local, the local mall had an arcade. The mall started holding tournaments. And even though it was usually just the locals that came to them, every once in a while we'd have outsiders from like New York or whoever who would show up and kind of give you that little tease, like, man, maybe I should start. Maybe I should just, for the hell of it, go to ECC one year, see what the hell it's like. Because these local tournaments are fun, but I want to see a grand scale, all right? So, I still remember the very first ECC that I went to, all right? I have notes here because there's so much I wanted to talk about. I still remember the very first ECC where my friend, his name was Scott, he had a big-ass van because he worked at that point, I think he was a landscaper, now that I'm thinking about it. So he had a big-ass van that he drove around to toss all the shit in to get from job to job, and he decided that he was going to go to ECC that year because he was a fan of fighting games like all of us. And so it was myself, it was Dave and Hero Lou, the Lou brothers. They were infamous, great Marvel vs. Capcom 1 and 2 players. I believe that year we might have taken my friend Drew. I believe a few other people were with us. So it was probably a group of maybe like 7, 8 dudes, all right? And we all piled into this van. And we said, well, what are we going to do? It's a long-ass fucking drive. We're going to be piled in this fucking van. What are we supposed to do? He said, oh, I got that covered. So Scott pulls out a computer monitor. I swear to God. Now keep in mind, this was like the late 90s. This wasn't when they had these flat screen monitors, these LCD monitors that everyone uses. He put a giant tube fucking monitor, right? Plants it down. Oh, watch this. Pulls out a game console. I think at that point it might have been the Dreamcast. Hooks it up to the monitor. Puts speakers. This guy had a fucking rig to play video games in the back of his van. It was nuts. Like, no one had seen anything like this. Like, what the fuck? A portable home console to play arcade level fighting games. So here we are, all sitting there with our, our joysticks on our laps, and we're playing on the way there. We're dicking around with each other and having fun. It's just so fun. It was like a feeling of camaraderie that even though these are guys who you play with every week, and you may have a local rivalry. Now we're kind of coming together as a group to represent the local area. We're here to represent Connecticut, and we're going to roll in to ECC together, and we're going to try to, you know, do as best as we could. We're going to support each other and root for each other and really hope that we all do well, all right? And I still remember the Motel 6. Oh, my God. The most ratty fucking hotel ever. It was, like, right down the street from 8 on the Break, the arcade that ECC was held at. And, the rooms were, like nasty rooms, all right? Most basic room you can possibly fucking get. But they were only like $75 a night. So you figure, you're with 8 dudes, you're staying there for 3 days, each of you only have to pay, what, $5 a day? So $15 and you stay in a hotel room all weekend. Of course, keep in mind, you're sharing it with 8 other dudes, so it stinks like shit. And, you know, it's not exactly the most ideal situation. Sometimes you get the bed, sometimes you have to sleep on the floor. But this is pretty much what gamers did back then. This is how the competitive Street Fighter community got started. It was a bunch of people who really didn't have a lot of money, were, you know, kids, uppercomers, who just kind of pooled their resources together to get across the country to travel to these tournaments and share hotel rooms and just play all night. So, I got a funny story. Actually, I have 2 funny stories regarding staying with these particular guys at Motel 6 at ECC. So I remember the very first year that I went there. I was so cocky. Let me tell you guys, when I first started in the competitive Street Fighter community, I had the biggest, I openly admit, the biggest fucking head on the planet. I thought because I was so good in Connecticut, and there were really only like 1 or 2 other players in Connecticut who could hang with me, that I was the god, and I was going to go to ECC, I was going to make top 3 in Marvel vs. Capcom, you watch, I'm going to whoop their ass, and I just, you know, complete idiot, complete asshole, ego, you know, everything. But it's because I was young. I was in my teens, you know what I mean? I was still, I didn't know about the world, I hadn't matured, I hadn't relaxed. That was the other thing, I was very uptight at the time. So I went in there with the attitude that I was going to be the best, all right? And I remember the first night when we got there, we got to Motel 6, and it was late. Like, we played games late because we wanted to practice. We were playing in the hotel room. We're playing in the hotel room, playing games. Finally, it's like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., something like that, real late. I said, all right, we're all going to go to sleep. We all decide collectively we're going to go to sleep. So we all lay down. Now, I was tired, and I was of the opinion that I was going to do well in this tournament tomorrow. But the tournament actually started early. The tournament, I believe, like, registration was like 10 in the morning. You had to be there by, like, noon. So I knew I had to get some sleep. And we're laying in bed, and the guys are dicking around, all right? You got one guy, who touched me? You know, I'm like, hey, guys, shut up. You know, I'm trying to get some sleep over here. And it was funny because they made fun of me. Now, this is the cool thing. I have a great sense of humor. So if these guys are going to make fun of me, I didn't get pissed off at them, all right? But I really wanted sleep, so I was like, come on, guys, be quiet. So then my friend Scott, he was such a joker. He's so fucking funny, this guy, right? So he was sleeping on the floor in the corner of the room. And he would go, hey guys, everyone shut up. You know, making fun of me, like a high-pitched voice. Everyone go, ha ha ha, and laugh. I was like, oh my God, all right. I was like, all right, well, seriously, all right, you made fun of me, now let's go to sleep. I close my eyes, I turn my head, like, oh, and you go, what the hell, who did that? It was him, of course. He's pretending like he farted, like, oh my God, what the hell? So, you know, laugh, oh, he farted. And then finally, everyone, all right, everyone calms down. Everyone's about to go back to sleep. Everyone's like, all right, I'm going to close your eyes. And you hear, oh yeah, oh yeah. And it's like, what the fuck, man? Like, come on, I just want to get some sleep. He's always pretending like he's jerking off. It was so fucking funny. And we did that like all night. Everyone just went in a circle, like making fun of each other and shit, and like doing stupid shit. And that was the kind of fun that we had. That was the cool thing about actually traveling physically across the country to go somewhere, because you could have this kind of cool casual atmosphere and just hang out with your buds and do stupid jokes like that, all right? So, another time, now this is what I gotta warn you guys. If you ever travel for a competition and you're sharing a room with someone, you must be careful that if you're bringing any kind of equipment with you, any kind of equipment, all right, that you clear it of things you don't want other people to see. Now, I was a young man at the time, and I had a laptop, and I remember, now this is a little bit longer, this was later on, like probably I was in college, I would say, during this time period, okay? So, I had a beast of a laptop. You know, you see laptops today, oh, little paper thin, you know, see the fucking iPad, oh yeah, it's my iPad, look at this, This thing was like, I swear to God, like this fucking thick, alright? It was an Alienware. It was one of the first, like, Alienware gaming portable laptops. The thing was insane. It weighed like 15 fucking pounds. The thing was like a fucking, it was terrible, alright? It even looked like shit. And unfortunately, it ran like shit too. So, I don't know what I was thinking. At that point in my life, I was young and I was stupid, and I used credit cards a lot, which I shouldn't have done, and I racked them up buying a bunch of junk I didn't need. The Alienware laptop was one of them, and I never got anything out of it that I wanted, so it was a complete waste of my money. But I remember bringing the Alienware with me to ECC one year. And so we have it in the hotel room, and I'm thinking, you know, I just didn't even think about it. I don't know what it is. I just didn't even think about it. I thought maybe no one would want to use my laptop or whatever. And of course, I'm a nice guy, so people say, can I use your laptop? Sure, go ahead, go on the internet. Because at that point, I think, if I remember correctly, I don't remember if they had wireless in the hotel yet. I think it was just wired internet. So, you know, using it was slow as fuck, by the way. And, what the hell is this? And guess who was using my laptop? It was Scott. That's right, the same guy. He goes, what the hell is this? He goes, I can't believe it. He clicks on it. Oh, yeah, oh. He found a porn movie, probably a clip of porn, that I had downloaded and put, like, in a side folder somewhere. Like, it wasn't on my desktop. It was, like, hidden in a side folder or something. And it was funny because he wouldn't have been able to go on porn because the internet was so slow back then. He wouldn't have been able to go on porn and watch it over the internet. It would have taken too long to, like, load and buffer. But this was, for whatever reason, I'd saved it to my computer. I was a complete idiot, all right? So he plays it. He goes, oh, my God. So he starts playing it. And everyone's like, what the fuck? He's watching porn. And then he goes, you never believe what the name of the clip is. Giant Black Meat. That was the name of the clip. It was like Giant Black Meat 6. So all day, all we did, everyone that walked up was like, hey man, you know, I was hungry. I went and I got a cheesesteak, but Phil, he's gonna just go back to the hotel room and get some giant black meat. It was some black dude with a huge black cock fucking some white girl or something. I don't know what the hell it was. Like I said, I didn't even know it was on there. So it must have been something at one point I downloaded and moved it somewhere. And I was like, what is this on there for? So you gotta. If you go, you must. Today, it's not that big of a deal because everyone has their own smartphone and shit. But just be smart with the stuff that you bring on these trips because realize people are going to get into them and they're going to find this shit, all right? Giant Black Meat. That was a running joke. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about 8 on the Break. It is, from what I understand to this day, it still exists. Still an arcade, an open arcade, but of course it's nothing like it used to be because now everything is on consoles, which is a shame because there was this whole era where it was a social atmosphere because in order to play the games competitively, you had to go to a video arcade to play it head up against somebody. You couldn't play it at home because the home versions were inferior 9 times out of 10 to playing the thing on an actual arcade machine. So, 8 on the Break was awesome. They had one huge machine that they would put whatever the hottest game at the time was. So usually it was one of the Marvel vs. Capcom games. Marvel vs. Capcom 1. Then when 2 came out, obviously it switched over to Marvel vs. Capcom 2. Really huge. It wasn't just like a standard, you know, a standard arcade machine is just a small thing that 2 guys stand in front of. No, this one was like wide and it was angled, so you had lots of space to stand there and to actually play your game, and you didn't feel like you were getting crowded if people were behind trying to watch the match. Had big giant speakers so that everyone in the arcade, they could pump up the volume and everyone in the arcade could hear it. So for tournaments, this was like the premier cabinet. You had to play on this one for the best matches because everyone could see the best, and it was the best handling one. But they also had a whole wall where they had small regular stand-up machines. So when they had a tournament, they could have the showcase cabinet for big matches, and then they had like station 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this place would be packed with people waiting in line or waiting for their turn. I'm sure we violated the fire code a bunch of times with ECC because I think the fire code was like 200 people for that building, and there were ECCs where you had like 400 or 500 people in attendance, all right? And again, like I said, from all over the country and sometimes all over the world. We had people from the East Coast, the West Coast, Seattle, California, Florida, Puerto Rico, Chicago, the Midwest, Texas. We actually had some Japanese players come one time. So you're talking a real cool get-together of talent from all over the country and sometimes all over the world just to play Street Fighter together. Now, unfortunately, one thing that at this point, let's put it this way. At this point, back then, when I was playing these games competitively, all right, I didn't know any better, all right? So when I went to the arcade, you're going to play on whatever they have there, all right? So just to show you, to compare and contrast what we went through as gamers. You know, today, a typical joystick that you'll play on looks something like this, all right? It's got this Japanese-style ball top, all right? Small, short stick, very swift movements are available because it's such a small stick. And these nice, I believe these are called convex buttons, where it's very easy to touch them. They're very responsive, all right? This is the Japanese-style arcade stick. This is what they used on Japanese cabinets, but not in America. In America, and I don't have an American stick to show you anymore, but in America, the joysticks were huge. If you want a great example of what the American sticks looked like, go search for either the Mortal Kombat 9 or the Injustice fight sticks that they sold, because that's an American-style joystick. The shaft of the stick, and I know this sounds sexual, the shaft of the stick is much taller, and the stick is not a ball, it's actually like a real weird kind of oval shape. And so it actually has a bigger radius. There's more movement required to do special moves and stuff, and it actually is less responsive because it takes you longer to do your input than a smaller Japanese-style joystick. Also, the buttons are called concave, which means they don't, if I had a piece of paper, I could explain this to you better. Oh, so here you go. This is concave, meaning it's pointed upward. It has like a lump up. This is convex. This is what the Japanese players use. Concave means the button kind of bends in a little bit like this. So it actually takes longer for you to touch the button because your finger has to go into that hole, all right? And so it takes longer to get a response out of the button. Why the hell American arcades decided to use this less responsive joystick and these less responsive buttons is beyond me, but this is the kind of stuff that we used for the longest time until someone finally realized, holy shit, the other style is way better, and then everyone basically changed the arcade machines to the Japanese style. Okay? So, the problem with, some people said it was a problem, some people thought it was an asset, alright? When you went to arcade tournaments, you were at the mercy of the arcade machine you were playing on. It's not like today where, oh, I brought my own gamepad I'm going to play on in the tournament, so it's mine. If it doesn't work or I'm not used to playing on it, shame on me because I brought it, right? No, they don't have that. They didn't have that back then. Back then, you were forced to play on whatever setup was available, whatever cabinet was there. So if those buttons were stiff, you had to adjust to it. If that joystick seemed a little loose or didn't seem to work just as well as yours at home, you had to adjust to it. And so every cabinet you played on could be completely different. You had to be extremely versatile to be a good player back in the day. And this is why I say these days, these kids, and I know I sound like an old fart, these kids got it easy. You're playing on your own joystick, so you're 100% sure of how to fucking use it. All the button inputs and joystick inputs are now so lax, you can double tap down forward, press a button, and get a Shoryuken. I mean, it was 40 times harder back in the day to actually get a joystick and buttons to work the way you wanted it, because every time you went to play somewhere else, it was different. And it's funny, because I actually talked a little bit about this as a response to a question on the podcast Gamer Talk Live earlier this week. The question that someone had posed to me was, well, Phil, back in the day, or not back in the day, but when you make your gaming videos, you complain all the time. You always blame the game and not yourself. Is that a character or is that serious? And my answer was no, that's mostly a character. The only time I'm usually serious if it really is a real game bug or if I'm playing a fighting game online and there's lag. But that all originated back in the arcade days. Because what I used to do, I was infamous for this, but I did it for comedy purposes. Everyone knew that. I would play the game, right? And if something fucked up, like, let's say I was playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2, and all of a sudden the guy did a random super move, and it hit me, I would say, that's fucking bullshit. I was blocking. Look, I'm holding down back on the joystick. I was blocking. This joystick doesn't work. This fucking cabinet sucks. This arcade sucks. Fuck this game. And I would, like, go nuts. And people loved it. They loved, wow, this kid's going nuts, and they would love my rants. I would rant about it. I'd make shit up. I would say, I fucking did a super. It didn't come out. That's a faulty input error. Fuck this stupid game. You know, and people will laugh. And, you know, it was a character that I put on whenever I was in arcades, and people absolutely loved it. And, you know, that's what it was, vintage DSP. That's kind of weird that character comes from these days when I play games. I go, I was fucking blocking. No, this bullshit. You know, I didn't do that. I didn't touch that button. A lot of the times I did, but it's just for comedy purposes, and it's the same character that I used to do back in the arcade days. I just do now for modern audiences in a totally different setting. Okay? So, two other really cool things that I want to mention. We got to move on because I'm going late today, and I got to get to the Q&A section. So two more quick things, then I'll go on break, and we'll have about 15 minutes of Q&A. Okay? Break stakes. You might not know what the fuck that means. At 8 in the Break, which is the name of the arcade that ECC was held at, they have a snack bar. And what a godsend it is at a arcade style, you know, old school tournament to have food on site. Because the worst thing could happen, you're there all weekend waiting for your turn, waiting to be called. When do I play? Don't worry, you're going to be up soon. Don't worry, you're going to be up soon. Finally, I'm hungry. I'm going to walk down the street, grab some food, come right back. And you go down the street, you come back, you were disqualified because you left when it was your turn. You're like, oh my God, are you serious? And this would happen. So to have food on site was such a major asset. And at 8 in the Break, they have a snack bar there where it's a full grill, and they made what was called the break steak. What it was basically cheesesteak, okay? It was the meat. They would grill it there fresh, chop it up, and they would ask you what you want. You could get grilled onions, you could get peppers, you know, barbecue sauce, cheese, all kinds of different stuff you could get on it, which was pretty good. You get it with the works, with the onions, chopped onions, with the works. And you put it on a hoagie. It wasn't a huge hoagie, it was a mid-size hoagie. Fill it up with a side of fries, with a drink, and usually the prices were reasonable. I remember when I first started, it was only $5. I was like, $5 for that? That's crazy. It was a full meal for $5. Then later on, of course, over the years, they raised their prices a little bit. But amazing to have a fresh cheesesteak made right there on site with fries, with a drink, while you're there at the arcade. Like, that is so cool. And they became, like, famous. Anyone who came to ECC, you gotta try a break steak, man, because they're the fucking best, and they're a great value. And they became so famous that eventually I was the director of one of the ECCs much later on, and I actually had a break steak eating challenge where people would compete to eat the breaks and the certain amount of break steaks the fastest, and it was gross, but it was absolutely funny as hell as well, and it was a very successful event. And break steaks, anyone who's attended ECC or anyone who's been to 8 on the Break, you will remember your whole life the break steak. It was just like such a cool, iconic thing there. All right. And then, last but not least, the coolest thing about going to ECC was that during an era when the internet didn't fucking have everything immediately. It wasn't, when a new game came out, all right, that day, you didn't have all these people playing the game, recording direct capture of the game, and uploading their gameplay to the internet. You didn't have infinites discovered on day one. You didn't have 50%, 60% damage combos discovered the first week or even first month that a game was out, because there was no one sharing information. It was literally only the people who were here at the arcade playing, and whatever we figure out, there's nowhere to share it. You know what I mean? Maybe you could go on a forum and post up, oh, I found this combo. Jumping roundhouse, low medium kick. But the thing about that, there's no timing. You can't explain timing in a forum post like that. You need to visually see it. And back then, you couldn't do it. There was no YouTube. There was no Twitch. There was none of this video stuff on the internet at all. And so it was kind of funny because people would go to a tournament and they would figure out a strategy and win with it, and then they would post it up on the internet and say, I just won a tournament with this. It must be an unstoppable great strategy. And then 2 minutes later, someone would post under them, no, that doesn't work. All you have to do is this and you beat it. And you'd be like, oh, what, really? And yeah, it was true. I still remember Viscant, Jay Snyder, whatever you want to call him. He's still to this day a top fighting game player, all right? Which I'm surprised that he stuck with it for so long. I still remember back in the 90s, he won like one of the very early Marvel vs. Capcom 1 tournaments out in Las Vegas. It wasn't like a huge one, but it was one of the first ones, so it got some attention on the internet. And he wins with Zangief and Jin. two characters who, by all reports, were some of the worst characters in the game. He wins the tournament and goes online and starts talking about his strategy that he found out, right? And he's like, oh, it's called the triple option with Zangief. If you're right next to a character, you have three completely different things that you can do, all of which will lead to guaranteed damage. You just need to adjust on the fly and do the right one for the right situation. So I'm sitting there and I'm reading his post, because he just won this tournament. Everyone's saying, oh, he's the best Marvel vs. Capcom 1 player right now. I'm reading his post, and I go, he says that if you do this certain throw with Zangief, that you automatically get a combo no matter what. I said, no, you don't. What happens is Zangief will grab you and throw you in the air, and then you automatically jump after, like you're going to do an air combo after. But if the person who got thrown just mashes on the joystick and buttons, they recover and they can block. But no one at this tournament that he went to knew that, so he completely dominated everyone at the tournament with this throw, when in effect the throw was completely fucking worthless. Now, I knew that, but he didn't. So I immediately posted, I was like, that doesn't work. Like, what on earth are you talking about? And then, it was funny, because come to find out, later that year I went to California, I played him in Marvel vs. Capcom 1, and I defeated his Zangief with one button. That's right. With one button, standing Fierce Punch with Wolverine, I beat his Zangief. His Zangief could not even get near me. So his triple option was phony. But the point I'm making, there was no way to test strategies or anything back then, because there was just no way to share the information, okay? So the best thing about ECC was, for the very first time, you would see players from different areas of the country who use completely new strategies that you've never seen, never heard of, and never even thought of. I remember one year at ECC, Rotron, I think his name was, he went by. He was from Seattle. And he came to ECC saying, no, I have a strategy that many people have not seen. It's very powerful, and I'm going to use it to beat everyone at ECC. Surprisingly enough, I think he got like second place. I don't know if he won that year, but he got like second place under Justin Wong, because he found out that the Tron Bon assist, when comboed, did insane amounts of damage, and it was a glitch, actually a game bug. They didn't scale the damage properly on the move, but it was allowed in tournaments, and he had this tactic, and he was whooping everyone's fucking ass with Magneto and Tron Bon. And it was like, wow, that's the first time I've ever seen that. Who would have fucking thought to pick Tron Bon and this weird fucking assist that no one tried, and it does massive damage with combos and stuff. You would see people who would come from the West Coast, and they would be picking characters like Spiral, who was a character who played nothing like the rest of the game. A lot of the game, people would run away and shoot guns, or they would rush down. Spiral was this unique character who she could keep making swords appear around her and keep throwing the swords, and then after she threw all 6 of her swords, she could have an assist come out. So let's say, I don't know, it was Sentinel. Sentinel would do his assist, which makes little drones come out. Then as the drones were coming out, she would make more swords appear and start throwing them again. So it was a lockdown tactic, and until ECC, no one knew about that tactic. It was like people would debut their new hot shit at ECC, because it was like the beginning of the major tournament season. It would be like ECC, Texas Showdown, and 1 or 2 others, and then EVO. So it was like tournament season was a 4 or 5 month season, and you would try your new shit out at ECC to see if it works in a tournament setting. And that was the coolest thing. Unlike today, where information disseminates so quickly because of the internet and because everyone wants to get views and everyone wants to get famous on the internet. So I'm going to get this game the first day it comes out. I'm going to play the fuck out of it, and I'm going to give you all the best combos on day 1. Wasn't anything like that. It would take months, if not years, for a game to finally reach its competitive peak, as opposed to today, it could take a month, and people might almost know everything about the game because of the way that the internet has changed everything, okay? So that's it for back in the day, okay? I am now, and Tales of Arcadia, okay? I'm running very late. I'm going to take a short 3 to 4 minute break, come back, and then we're going to do about 10 minutes of Q&A to end the show. So I'll be right back, everyone. Sorry I'm running so late. We'll be back for Q&A. Stick around. All right, everyone, we're back. We've only got about maybe 10, 15 minutes tops for Q&A in this episode, and I apologize because I went so long in the first segment because I had so much to talk about in gaming news. So let's go to it right now. If my mods could please turn the chat to subscriber only, and let's get some questions flowing. I'm going to answer them as quickly and efficiently as possible, but also try to entertain you at the same time. So let's go. All right, let's draw. Oh, I have to go subscriber only mode. All right. From the Coming Reaper, he asks, will you play Breakdown for the Xbox? It's an old FP game. I guess that means free to play. That has a full first-person view. Since you like Mirror's Edge, I was wondering if you'd ever play it. It's underrated. I find it a shame that no one knows it, despite the grounds that it broke. Quite honestly, Coming Reaper, right now, at this point, with the exception of, say, Monday, I don't think I'm going to have time to play anything else for the rest of this year. Let me put it that way. The way it's looking with the 3 games I'm going to be playing next week, 2 more games when I come back from vacation, GTA 5, GTA 5 Online, all the new releases, the new consoles. I think I have enough content at this point to probably keep me occupied for the rest of 2013. If there were some kind of a desire, like if a lot of people said, no, Phil, we heard about this game, it sounds good, you know, but I mean, at this point, I'm pretty much booked, and I'm not really looking to start any new series or new games like that until next year, okay? Next question is from Timbo Slice GB, and he says, Phil, what did you think about the Ghost multiplayer stuff? Will you be getting the game for current-gen or next-gen consoles with improved graphics? So there's 2 questions there. What do I think about the new multiplayer, and what console am I getting the game for? My answer to that, quite simply, is this. I don't care about the multiplayer. I know that probably it's almost the same as all the other Call of Duty multiplayer. Some people did tell me a couple things are different. I'll see those changes when the game comes out. I'm not one of these fanboys that I care. You know what I mean? I care about Grand Theft Auto 5 Online because that's something that is extremely entertaining. It's groundbreaking. It's something that could change, you know, gaming. People just be playing it nonstop for a long time. Call of Duty is Call of Duty, and I'll be honest, even though it's good, Call of Duty is always solid, don't get me wrong. It's lost its head of steam. I'm not really, like, bowled over by Call of Duty anymore. I'll play it. It's always a good ride. It's entertaining, but I didn't care, and I didn't watch the trailer. All right? So, second part of the question was, what console am I getting for current generation or next generation consoles? It all depends on when the consoles are coming out, which we don't know yet because they don't have release dates. If the next-gen consoles are coming out before the release of Call of Duty Ghosts, I will get Call of Duty Ghosts for the next-gen consoles. If they come out after the release of Call of Duty Ghosts, then I will get Call of Duty Ghosts for current-gen consoles because people want to see it when it's new. They don't want to see it 2 months later just because it's running on the next-gen console. It's the same game. You know what I mean? It might look slightly better, but it's not going to be any better. So I'm going to play whatever comes out first. Next question, please, is from, let's see, Ugajilo. And he says, will you get back into the fighting game community? I've answered this question about 400 times before. The answer is if there's a game that interests me enough to the point where I like it that much, I might. Right now, I have absolutely no plans to do it. Next year, you got Super Street Fighter 4 Ultra Super Hyper Mega fucking edition that we said was never coming out and we were done doing expansions, but here's another one anyway edition. I'll probably get that and I'll play that and I'll see if I like it. And if I like it, maybe I'll dabble in a tournament or 2, but I'm not making any promises. Next question is from Walker Killer, and he says, who is your favorite actor and or voice actor? I do not have a favorite voice actor. I recognize people's voices all the time, but I don't have a favorite one. Actor, I really, honestly, I like different people at different times for different stuff, and it's funny because you see someone like Bryan Cranston, who for years was the dad in Malcolm in the Middle, and he did a role completely different than what he does now in Breaking Bad, and I think he did a great job in both roles. But I don't think I have anyone who's like, wow, I'm going to see that movie because it has that actor. I don't think I've ever done that. For me, it was always, I'm going to see that movie because the plot looks good, because the trailer was funny or interesting, it hooked me. And then if whoever they picked for the actors, great. If they picked great actors, good. If not, I don't even mind people that I don't recognize as long as the movie overall is good. So I'm not one of these guys who follows actors and voice actors as a fan of a certain one. So that unfortunately, that pretty much was a not a very pertinent question for me as a person. Okay, next question is from Super Blind Man, and he says, do you intend to start your Xbox One walkthrough without the Kinect plugged in to confirm whether or not the Kinect 180 story is true? I'm going to do everything. I'm going to unbox the Kinect. I'm going to unbox the Xbox One. I'm going to hook up the Xbox One. We're going to turn it on. We're going to test the Kinect functionalities. We're going to turn off the Kinect. We're going to see if it works without it. We're going to go online. We're going to talk to people through the Kinect and see if it sounds any better than the tin can that it fucking sounds like now, to which I guarantee you the answer is going to be fuck no. It sounds like shit. We'll probably even use the Xbox One to live stream just to fuck with it and say, hi, I'm on the Xbox One talking through the Kinect. Well, I have this way better technology I can use anyway, but I'm going to use this. No, we're going to do everything. It's going to be a full, informative walkthrough on launch day, which John Rambo might be joining me for. He said he's expressing very much interest in being here on the launch days of Xbox One and PlayStation 4. We just got to find out when that is first. Okay? Next question is from Krosner Tony. He says, you just killed undying youth. Now what about mankind? I don't know what the fuck that means. Next question from Tobias Alexander. He says, will more stupid horror games come in October? That's good. That's a good question. The answer to that question is possibly. We have not, my girlfriend and I, Panda Lee, have not mapped out her visits that far yet. We've got August, we've got September. We're actually waiting because we don't know all the release dates of everything in October. There's a possibility that one of the new consoles might come out in October. Once we have more solid release dates, we're then going to schedule in when her visit will be. And then depending on that, we'll see during that week what do we want to do. Maybe we want to do more stupid horror games. I can tell you this right now. Unfortunately, all right, that week of Halloween is insanely packed with games. I mean, insanely packed with games. There's a shit ton of game. Assassin's Creed 4, WWE 2K14, and something else that I knew it was in my head, and now I think Battlefield 4. 3 huge high-profile games that people all want to see. So I'm not going to be able to film a Halloween special then. But that doesn't mean that I won't be able to film it sometime previously if there's a down week. And maybe it could be the week that she visits and we play stupid horror games and we save it for Halloween for YouTube. I don't know. We're going to see. We're going to see what happens with that. I can't promise anything, but it's a good idea, and I'm glad you brought it up. All right, next question from DSP Fan 13579. And he says, if you could create a different name or had to create a different name completely different from the name you have now, Darkside Phil, what would it be? How would you have to make a different name? Why would you have to make a different name? I don't know. That's besides the point. What? I don't know. And it's funny because Darkside Phil really doesn't mean anything. It's not like he's a fan of Star Wars or he's a fan of something and he got it. I just thought it sounded cool. I thought that it was cool that you could abbreviate it to DSP for short. And it turns out that worked out very well for me, both in the Street Fighter and now on YouTube and Twitch and the internet communities. It really doesn't have any significance, and if I had to change it, I'd probably be called Long Dong Silver, or maybe Mandingo the Second, or something like that. I don't know. I'm just dicking around, but I don't know. That's kind of a silly question. I don't know what I would call myself. Just the Dick. How about that? The Dick. All right. Next question. I thought we had one drawn. Yes, this one's from Merrick Coldblood. He asks, Phil, will you be watching the Gamescom press conference like you did for E3? It was cool to be able to chat with you during those press conferences and interact. Well, first of all, thing is, E3 is the big press conference in America. And when I say America, I mean the United States of America. So for me, that was the one. If I was going to follow one thing, I know that my majority of my fans are Americans, even though I do know that just under 50% of my fans are actually international. Don't believe me, I know that. But I usually don't follow Gamescom. Maybe there's a few announcements that come out of it, and those are the ones that I'll follow. But really, I think any of the bombshell announcements that would have been made were made at E3. And if there are any others, it's probably something I'll talk at a future date about in a Hate Live podcast. So I will probably not be following along that press conference. Plus, I don't know when it is. and if it's not before Tuesday next week, I will just not have time to watch it because I'm going to be so busy gaming with the new releases next week. All right, next question from WDP 1024. He says, the Saints Row 4 Collector's Edition comes with an actual dubstep gun replica with lights and sounds from the game. If Project 7 ever comes back, would you ever consider using it in an episode? Of course, but I don't know if there's any chance that Project 7 is ever going to come back, but that would be an awesome prop for an episode. All right, one or two more questions here. We're going to end it. Next one is from Prinkster124. And he asked, would you ever consider playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl co-op story mode with John Rambo? The answer to that simply is no, because it's old. I don't think anyone would care about it. However, when the new Smash Bros. Comes out, if it does have co-op, I'll probably do it, and I will be doing a playthrough of the story mode, definitely. All right, here we go. Next question is from Steven3024. And he says, can you play Resident Evil 4 HD? The answer is yes, I can play Resident Evil 4 HD. But the real question is, will I play Resident Evil 4 HD? And the answer to that is probably eventually. I have it. I have the code to download it right now and play it. I just didn't use the code yet. I'm interested in doing it. I just didn't do it this summer because I had the summer of retro. But maybe when there's a reason to, I will. Maybe when there's another Resident Evil announced or something. Or maybe next year. That's a good thing for downtime. It's a game that I could do. It's definitely a candidate of a game that I would like to play. Okay? Next question is from Desert Strat 661. What do you hope will be NetherRealm's next game? Of course, I hope that would be Superman versus Boogerman, because you know that Superman's two weaknesses are magic and kryptonite. Well, kryptonite's green, and boogers are magic. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what I want NetherRealm to make. I mean, they make good fighting games. I wish they would make a game where they can make a woman look like a woman. I know that's kind of not part of the question, but it would be nice if the women didn't have fucking disgusting, ugly butter faces so that you could actually get some enjoyment looking at them. Because otherwise, besides their faces, they're actually quite good looking. But I don't know why they can't create a non-butterface female in their games. But outside of that, that's about it. I think we may do one more question. This one is from LGames8. What type of music do you find yourself listening to the most? The answer is none, because I don't listen actively to music. But when I did used to actively listen to music, it was either rock, alternative rock, that kind of stuff. So we're talking the era of between 90s and 2000s. So starting as early as like the original Green Day, not the Green Day of now, but the original Green Day, Stone Temple Pilots, Soundgarden, Bush, Collective Soul, a lot of those bands, you know, I was into at the time. And I would sit there in my room, my bedroom, playing Street Fighter 2 on Super NES on Gamepad while I would play through an entire one of their albums as I was just sitting there. And that was so much fun in the summer to just kill a day. Playing Street Fighter against the computer, fucking it up, and playing music. I loved it. Alright? Alright, let's see. Oh, we got two more questions that unfortunately got scrolled off the screen. From Game Guide Man 22, do you think GTA 5 is Game of the Year material? I mean, how the hell would I know? From what I've seen, the game looks great. But as I said, when I've made my talk about GTA 5, when I first saw the reveal of the gameplay of it, it could go either way. If it works, it could be groundbreaking and amazing and be the best game of the year. If it doesn't work, it could completely fall flat on its face and end up being not very good. We'll have to see when the game comes out. I saw that last question was a joke. Let's pull one more. This is the last one. Here it is. It got pulled. Here we go. From Jet Jackal 1284, the final question. He asks, I hope he made it good. It's the last question of the night. Do you think that augmented reality gaming has a real future, or is it just a pipe dream? And the answer to that, I say, is what the hell is augmented reality gaming? What is that? Do you mean virtual reality? Do you mean, I don't even know what that means. I'm confused. I'm confused as to, like, is there a specific example? This, unfortunately, is the kind of situation where it's unfortunate that these people submit questions like this here, because if he had submitted that question for Ask the King, I may have picked it, and he could have said, for example, here's the game that I'm talking about, and, you know, do you think it'll do well? In this case, he just asked a quick snippet question, and I don't know what the hell he's talking about, so I can't actually answer it. Great. So what I would say, if you do want to resubmit that question on a future Hate Live or for Ask the King, please give me more information on what exactly you're talking about so I can answer it appropriately. That's it for this edition of Hate Live, everybody. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Sorry that it went a little late, and also sorry that I started late because I was beating Pikmin 3 earlier today, and so it took me longer to get started. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Please, if anything you take from this episode, spread the word about how SOPA is coming back. We need to nip it in the butt now. Spread the word. Tell them about this video. Tell them I explain it. Check it out. I've got the link in here to go to their thing. Later on, I will probably end up eventually doing videos just about it individually. But this is the beginnings of the talk. Let's get the word out about it and nip it in the butt right now. Let's approach the rest of 2013 with positivity. Let's forget about all the negative idiots around us, and let's just focus on great games, great content, fun, upcoming cooperative play in Grand Theft Auto 5, and much more. I'm very excited for the rest of this year, and I hope you guys will be positive with me and be along for the ride of positivity rather than trying to focus on all the nasty nonsense that a lot of these disgruntled, attention-seeking people really are trying to focus on. Because I'm done with it, and I'm past it, and I'm ready to have some fun. Know what I mean? All right. Thanks, everyone, for watching Hate Live tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Next week, remember, no Hate Live next week, and unfortunately, no Hate Live the week after that because I'll be on vacation in Chicago. So for 2 weeks, no Hate Live and no Ask the King. But that third week after that, when I get back from Chicago, will be Ask the King, okay? So right now, head over to my forums on thekingofhate.com. There's already a thread up for that episode of Ask the King. Post your questions up in there. This guy with the augmented reality question, post that question up in there with more information, and I'll answer it and Ask the King. You know what I mean? And everyone else, post your questions up. So when I come back, refreshed from Chicago, we'll have a great time answering lots of more fun, interesting questions. Thank you, everyone. Signing off for Hate Live. Have a good night. Peace out. See you later. Arrivederci, good night, adios, bon voyage, whatever. Oh, epic fail. I didn't have the video queued up. God damn it. All right, well, that's it. Good night, everybody.